Hey everyone, welcome back to Today in Tarkov, and we have some monster changes to talk about. Changes that are going to change the face of the game for the rest of the wipe. We'll see how they take over into future wipes, but they're huge nonetheless. So first up, Kappa has been lowered to level 62. So now the level cap for it, instead of being level 71, the level cap, the level requirement is now 62 for Kappa. Level 62 requires right around 10 million. It's just shy of 10 million XP. Level 71 requires 22.7 million, a little bit more, but 22.7 million XP. In other terms, they lowered the cap by over 66%. It's going to make Kappa much easier to get for those that had it in reach, and I'm sure there were some people that were grinding for it that now all of a sudden they can just turn it in and they have Kappa. Next up, yesterday they lowered the flea market requirement to level 15, so it was 20. For all of 12.11 up to this point, it was level 20 to unlock the flea market. It is now level 15. So this is going to make anybody who has kind of left the game and never got to the flea market, or anybody who's looking to get their buddies into the game, a little bit more enticing, as that time gap to unlock the flea market is no longer as extreme as it was before. So cap these two changes off with the huge loot change that they did on the 30th with increasing loot, which we've seen. I'll show you some charts here in a little bit, but we've seen pretty conclusive evidence that there's a lot more loot on the map. So with these changes, if you're one of those folks that has moved on from Tarkov and wanted to wait for the game to get some new content, which it's not new content, but this is going to change how the game feels substantially. Now might be the time to give it another chance. And as we get more time for these loot changes to sink in, more and more stuff is going to change up. So let's dive in and actually take a little bit deeper look at these changes to the economy and what they've done in the last just couple of days. So some of the bigger changes, pretty plain to see. When the loot goes up, prices are going to go down. So the big ticket items, we've seen a big drop off in graphics cards. These things were pushing a million pretty regularly, averaging about 950,000, but now we're seeing them come down into the 850s and even lower, and we'll probably see this trend dip down. On the longer trend line, you can see here, just poof, right off a cliff almost. So we'll see how far these go before they reset. Military circuit boards, the cough dams, all of this stuff. Like this chart doesn't look as extreme because this has kind of thrown it out, but you drop from an average price of about 170,000 down to now we're averaging about 100K to 90K, basically the bottom end of these prices of what these things sell for. On top of that, sugar has taken an absolute nosedive, and it looks like it's going to continue to decrease. We'll see where it ends up. This is good in some aspects, as it's going to make some barters more viable. It is also some less viable, but its big part is it's going to make a lot of crafts more viable, and we'll see that in the nutrition unit a little bit later. Folders of intelligence have actually gone up though, and this is a product of, I think, everybody being able to access their flea market now and buy stuff to upgrade their hideout, because we're seeing it with a lot of other points. Now, things like SSDs, propane tanks, the FP100 filters, all of these are getting cheaper, and I think we're going to continue to see that with more loot being in. That just makes more available, supply and demand, boom, things are cheaper. However, with everybody being able to access their hideout and maybe an influx of new players again, we're going to see things like wires, light bulbs, corrugated hoses, all of these things have gone up. Now, I don't know how long this is going to last. They're usually pretty short-lived because people burn through these components pretty quick and they don't need them anymore. So take advantage of it while you can and keep an eye out on these things. And if you can get them for a higher price, great, get them. But they won't last very long, so take advantage while you can. Now, moving over to crafting. These economy changes have obviously had impacts on what's happening in crafting. Here's your top crafts across the board right now in the hideout. You've got wires, bleach, pile of meds. Hot rods are actually making money now. Moonshine's making money, and Intel's your top craft in the intelligence center, the folders of intelligence. The nutrition unit and the moonshine are both profitable now because sugar has gotten so cheap, and those prices haven't had a chance to chase back down yet, with hot rods actually getting more expensive as well. I suspect because of folks trying to get their holodinks for that barter. That'd be about the only thing I could think of that would be driving that, or maybe some of the barters out there for like BS. Now, specifically at the workbench, again, we talked about wires being valuable, but we'll see how long this price lasts. As these come back down, it's going to switch. You can still make good money with VOGs. Magnets are doing great. Capacitors, green gunpowder. Not a lot of changes here. So stick with what you've been doing and you're going to be all right. If you're trying to get into some of the more market moves, wires are going to be your way. The funny thing is wires are actually one of the more profitable crafts overall, single biggest profits. So if you can get your cables dirt cheap and you can sell your wires high, you are going to make an absolute fortune over the next couple of days to a week probably with this craft. Over at the laboratory, bleach is again your top craft. You just got to be careful with your components at. Make sure you're getting those cheap and you're selling your bleach above 12.7. I'm sorry, not above 12.7, above 10.7, and you'll be doing okay there. Ripstop is still going to be my go-to with the scav vest, using the Jaeger Barter 1 slickers for a scav vest. Do 3 of those. Make yourself ripstop. It's cheap, it's easy, and you are less influenced by swings in the market. And then you've got shampoo, bandages, and quarter in here as crafts as well. For your long craft, what we've seen is scav junk box get a little bit cheaper. This is a product just more people will be able to make them. And the price is getting cheaper for stuff for loot. But if, as far as making a craft overnight for skill purposes, this is your best craft. If you're looking to make money, you're right there with the grenade case. That is going to be your biggest single craft you can make, especially if you're using your spent fuel cans out of your generator. At the med station, we've had a couple of more items come back into the profitable area, mules and defibs, again, because components are getting cheaper for these things to craft, while the cost of buying them has stayed the same or not come down as much. Pile of meds is still going to be your kingmaker here, but mules and defibs have a chance to make you a bunch of money overnight if you're looking for something to craft over the long term. Intel Center is really opened up here. It's really interesting to me. We have a lot of crafts. Graphics cards are making a ton of money now. I still suggest Intel and flash drives because of the craft time. These other craft times are very, very long, but I'll leave that to you on what you want to do on your profits. And then finally at the Nutrition Center, we see profits for a change with hot rods and slickers. So this is really, really good because you can actually make money in here again. Just be cautious. These price changes are pretty volatile, and you could end up crafting something and losing money on it if you're not very careful with what you're doing, if the prices change a bunch. Now at the booze collector, you are making money, but the caveat is you need to get your sugar for less than 50K. You have to sell your moonshine for over 210K, or you're not going to be making a profit. Keep that in mind, and you'll do pretty good. But again, keep an eye on this. We might see moonshine start to chase down as time goes on, and then the profits evaporate. And that's usually what happens. Moonshine is rarely a profitable craft because so many people can do it, and it's not got a ton of demand. All right, so that wraps it up. Quite a bit of news, quite a bit of changes. I hope you guys got some usefulness out of this as far as the news and the crafts and the economy stuff, and can help you guys make a little bit more money in Tarkov. Shout out to the Patreons. Those guys' support is always very much appreciated in everything they do. And a big thank you to you guys for watching the video and supporting the channel. It means a bunch to me, and I really do mean thank you for it. With that, we'll close her up, and we'll see you in Tarkov.